Good morning, everybody. It's Deacon Tim Wyman here, and it's 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, and that means it's the Parish Coffee Hour with Father Paul and friends. Welcome, everybody, and we'll just get right into the topic of the day. And how are you doing, Father Paul, this morning?
Well, doing okay. It's good to be with you today. Uh, we'll start with a prayer as we begin.
Hey, Father Paul, your video is off. There
There
you
we
go.
go. All
Yep.
right. Okay. Well, welcome, everybody. We'll begin with a prayer. Come, Holy Spirit, give us the gifts we need. Fill the hearts of your faithful with the power of your love. Give us the words we need. Give us the hearts we need. Give us the actions and deeds we need as we seek to participate with you and renew in the face of you. We pray to you as you're with us, our Trinity God, who loves us and cares for us, and who guides us through the mysteries of life forever and ever. Well, folks, today our topic is the ministry of Lexington Catholic High School. We've had this set up for about 10 days, and as you can imagine, there's going to be a little bit of a shift in the tenor of our program. But first, I'd like to introduce our guests, and then we'll get right into the conversation we need to have, and I think we all need to have as we participate. So we welcome Christi Nash. We welcome Ann Tramentine Brueggemann. We welcome Dave Nunberg. If each of you would just introduce yourselves a little bit and just say what your role is at the school, and then we'll take it from there. Christi, you want to start?
Okay. I serve as the spiritual life director at Lexington Catholic, and I also teach some theology classes and social studies class. So I've been there for, I think this is my 13th year.
Wow. Okay, great.
Also a parent.
Thanks for that ministry. And Ann?
Yeah, my name is Ann Tramentine Brueggemann, and I'm just finishing my 24th year at Lexington Catholic. I'm also an alum of the school from a little way back when. And I am the assistant principal of student life. And so my main focus with that is just being an advocate for the kids. It includes some discipline and that kind of stuff, but it also has some good parts to it of really being there for kids when they need help, when they need guidance. In and out of the classroom. And I've been a director of Exemplar Scholars Program, which is one of our programs for kids in the math, science, technology world, the fine arts programs, and a new liberal arts program. But I'm kind of shifting out of that over the summer and going to give the reins to somebody else this summer. But that's also been one of my most recent jobs.
Thank you. And Dave, welcome.
Thank you. Dave Nunberg. I'm the athletic director here at Lexington Catholic. I'll also be helping out with coaching football, and I am finishing up my second month here at at Lexington Catholic. So not quite as experienced in this world as our other two, but I'm working on it.
Well, good. Well, thank you. Glad you're all with us today. You know, it could be, as an adult, as a leader, we walk into a classroom, we walk into a locker room, we walk onto the court, we meet some kids at a social occasion, families, and we don't always know what's going on inside. Sometimes people are full of good news and can't wait to share it, but also sometimes people have bad news. And of course, it's been bad news this week. Two of the boys have died in an auto accident, and the two students who were with them have survived and are okay physically, but who knows what they're carrying as survivors as they experience that trauma. I think it'd be important to just hear from you. I think Lexington Catholic is a great and wonderful school that prepares the students for life and all of its different aspects. And this isn't something that we would say would be a key thing with the job description, but it's just part of it. So, how are you doing? How are you ministering? And let's just ask the question: how are you ministering to the families and the close friends of the students who are in the conference? How's that going?
I'll just start. I know all of us have had a role in ministering to the kids, but the Spiritual Life Office uh, pulled together, and really a lot of other people helped take care of the vigil that we had last night. But we did a vigil for the deceased last evening at Seton Church at 7 o'clock in the evening. It was completely full and overflowing. We had to open up the church hall. There were about 200 chairs in there, and live streamed out to people who couldn't attend. Really, just the number of students and families that I've heard from who these boys' lives touched, and who were just devastated by their loss, just countless. They were great kids, and just such a tragic occurrence. But the vigil itself, comes from our Catholic tradition. It was a lovely tribute to them and to the faith, and I think was very moving and powerful and helpful to a lot of the kids in terms of healing and just lifting them up spiritually, and reminding us all that we expect to see the boys again in heaven, and that we know God is taking care of them and will kind of take care of all of us in the coming months. So the two students who survived the accident were there last night, and their families, we were able to minister to them and see them as well. So, just if everyone who's listening, keep everyone at Lexington Catholic, but especially the families who were directly involved, and all of their friends, in your prayers, please.
I will say that in all my years at Lexington Catholic, I think that we do hard things very well. And I think it's because of our faith that we get to fall back onto that when there's not answers to questions, when you can't tell a kid why or explain the circumstances. And so I feel blessed to have, for 24 years, to be a part of a Catholic school where I can do that. That can be my first thing that I tell the kids, is that this is out of our hands and this is in God's hands, and we have to trust in Him. And I can't imagine being at another school, at a non-parochial school. I can't imagine being out of a Catholic school and having to deal with those things, because it's important to me to be able to fall back on that. And I think that's when it's the only thing you have to grab for. We're lucky and blessed to be a part of that community. So last night was wonderful. And I think it was just kind of the first step, a very short little step to a long road for a lot of kids and families and stuff. But I think the kids did leave there feeling a little bit better. And I think that's what we just have to count on.
I'll say it was difficult with trying to help the coaches, and in some cases the coaches kind of reaching out in how you move forward, and what, our big discussion on the athletics end was, what do your guys need from you right now? What does your team need from you right now in this moment? I couldn't brag enough on the coaches who specifically were involved with this. One, in that track with Coach Roden and Coach Dugan, they had a competition the day that they found out. Coach Tramontaine and her tennis team was in competition when news was spreading. Coach Mayer with lacrosse, and trying to help his team kind of navigate, and just couldn't brag on them enough for how they, there's no game plan, there's no roadmap, as Ann was referring to, the hard things and how we deal with them. But the way that our coaches handled it, Coach Mayer and Coach Dugan speaking last night at the vigil, I thought couldn't have had better words for it. And Coach Roden with the track team in that evening, and Father Norman going out there to help the team just kind of gather their focus in prayer. It's something that I can talk to them about and help talk through, but I don't know that there's a a game plan in the manual of here's how you deal with that. But I thought our coaches did an absolutely phenomenal job, and will continue to do so. As Ann said, it's a first step, but how you continue to help your team members deal with a loss like that, I thought they've been phenomenal.
One of the things to be a teenager in high school, I think, is not necessarily in a rational way, but almost like a pre-rational way to not be thinking of death. To think, well, I got my whole life ahead of me. And a lot of times, a situation like this is the first time that a lot of the high school students are facing mortality. They're facing the reality of death. They're facing their grief in a profound way. Does that make sense to you guys? And, I think you've had like a team of counselors and clergy and caring people, even at the school, I guess, just ready to be responsive to students who would come in, because it's different than during the school year, in the summertime right now. So
Right.
How you guys been doing that?
Well, this as soon as we heard what happened, within, I guess, 3 hours, we had a team of grief counselors and people at school ready and to mobilize and respond to students' needs. And we opened up the school library for several hours that day for students to come by and kind of write their thoughts, to each family, and then also to make these links of love that we make for each child, and then to be there to counsel with priests and community grief counselors, and our own guidance office was there as well, and spiritual life. So we had a steady stream of kids coming in that day, and decided to open up the school again the following day from 10 to 3. Had additional students coming in then. As Dave said, Father Norman went and spoke to the track team who was competing and prayed with them. He prayed with the softball team. I know Ann was praying with the tennis team, and just really trying to minister to as many of them as we could. And I think the vigil helped. I know, they'll come out for the funerals and visitations as well. But yeah, I think they know that there's a lot of people at school that they can reach out to too. And even though it's the summertime, to get help if they need it.
Is there like a preparation of some kind, either a quick meeting or something that's been done over the year to prepare the team of grief counselors to be able to do that in a helpful way? I think in those kind of situations, it's being able to say something but not saying too much, giving space for the grieving person, and particularly the student, to be where they're at, rather than saying, well, you should be this way, you should be feeling this. How does that come together so that some good accompanying can take place?
Well, there are several people on staff who are trained grief counselors, either trained through the church or trained through their undergraduate and graduate degrees. But also we've had some professional development training, just basic training for the whole staff on, kind of what to say, what not to say in various situations to help students. But then, I have to shout out to Fayette County because and to our parochial school partners, because when news spread, we were all fielding calls from Fayette County schools. Can we send our counselors over? From our parochial schools, can we send our counselors over? And we actually did have several people from outside of the community, and we have parents who are trained grief counselors as well, who work in the community, and some of them came by. So we were really, had a lot of help at our disposal, and could always, if students, or if anyone, who's listening knows of any, family that needs it, that they could call the school and we could direct them to resources inside and outside of the school. I feel confident that, we can marshal the services that we need.
I think the community that needs to be cared for is, again, it's bigger than the parent. You know, it includes the community of parents also. Just for instance, you speak to how you're hoping to encourage them or help them in their grief with us.
Well, and Anne, I know you could probably speak to this as well. I'll just be brief, but you know, even the Vigil and all of our communications have gone out to the parents as well. There were a lot of parents there last night, and communications go out to the parents from both administration and Spiritual Life, talking about all of the resources that are available and the celebrations and ceremonies that we have coming up. So, and I'm sure Anne, you fielded calls as well.
We have, and I think right at the onset that a lot of the parents, their first concerns are their kids, and so a lot of the parent calls that I've fielded have been, you know, what do I need to do? What do I need to do with my kids? But I did talk to a couple of parents last night, and I think it makes students feel better. I said, you know, this is hard for the adults too. You know, I told students that. I said, this is hard for us. It's hard for parents to know how to navigate their own kids and then their own feelings of their own kids and the fears that we always have for them. So I think that we need to probably administer to them a little bit too as we get through this next week, and make sure that they just have those resources as well. And I think as much as it is for grieving, it's for how to parent your kid when they're going through such a grieving process. We're not used to that. And I told someone, we have been very blessed. We have not had some tragedies like that for a while here at Lexington Catholic. So I think we have to be ready for that. This is not just this week and this weekend, that it's, you know, we have to be ready for it when school starts back up, because that's when the kids it'll hit them again when they're not in the classrooms or on the sports fields. And I think we have to be ready for that as faculty and as teachers and as for the parents and coaches as well. So,
Dave, you're just getting started. It sounds like, you know, you say you're 2 months into the job. And, how's it been for you as somebody who doesn't know quite as many people as the two ladies, and yet, you know, just being present and guiding your staff and kids you can reach out to? How's that been?
To be honest, I've been impressed. I mean, it was obviously, you know, relatively new. I wasn't able to know the kids very well, but I felt the loss of the community. You know, I've coached for 18 years and taught for 18 years, and I've lost players and students tragically and young. And I think, you know, I don't know if it's natural or not, but I think even being new and not really knowing these two personally, it kind of takes you back and you remember others and other families that have dealt with that. And so personally, I hurt for the community. I hurt for the families, just in picturing and imagining what, you know, that loss for everybody else. But I've been just so impressed with, like I already said, our coaches and how they've dealt with this and how they met the situation and how they're helping their teams. But, you know, Anne kind of referenced it in a different words, but you always hear that, you know, in the worst of times, you tend to see the best in people. And I've just, the outreach from the community, you mentioned our partner schools, but not, you know, our rival schools. LCA's head of school personally brought over flowers and kind words. I mean, you know, we received outreach from all kinds of different schools that we're not even connected to, and members of the community. I've gotten emails from a realtor that I met, and, you know, just people who are connected that want us to know that they're with us. I think sometimes you forget how connected we can all be until times like this come up. And for me, we've lived in Lexington for 2 months and 6 days, but to see the strength in the community, partners and otherwise, has been impressive, to be honest with you. You know, and as tragic as it is, it almost makes you proud to be a part of that community.
I'll just share a couple of personal things. And, first of all, just my belief that each of you and every member of the faculty shares in the ministry. You know, it's more than a job; it's a ministry that you work with all this. Dave, I'll share that from a personal standpoint, the person from the high school faculty when I was a kid that I quote is the guy who was the athletic director. And his name was Jim Connors. He also taught phys ed. And I've quoted him in homilies already and saying, a friend is somebody who wants you to go to heaven. A friend is somebody you can count on to want the best. I'll share too that it was 1964 when I graduated from high school. And Jim Capel was the smartest kid in our class. And this wasn't the days when there were frequent scholarships, but he was getting a full ride. And the teacher T.K. Lewis, who taught chemistry and physics, regarded Jim as the smartest kid that he ever had taught. And he just loved it. And he was from a good family in northern Kentucky. And he and his buddy Jim Shank, and Jim was also in, I think, at Newport Catholic, maybe a year behind us. And I remember playing basketball with Jim in the streets and alleys, and with him too. And you know, Jim got a new car, and they were out. And you know, one thing led to the next, and it's the same kind of scenario. It was an accident, and both these fellows were killed. And here it is, 2021, and I still remember it. And I still remember the darkness that hit in such a strong way, when this took place. So again, a reminder, I guess, to all of us that this is something that's going to, with a lot of the students, what they're experiencing right now is something they'll carry with them through their lives. And but hopefully it can be an opening also to pools of compassion and understanding and good decisions in their lives. So it's striking, we want to talk about Lexington Catholic, and as our 8th graders have graduated this year, it's been a pretty big class, and I think all of them but 4 are going to be going to Lexington Catholic. And what percentage of the students at Lexington Catholic are Christ the King graduates?
So our incoming class is about 28% Christ the King. So we have about 170 kiddos that will be in our next freshman class this fall. And I think the number was 47 or 48 were from Christ the King. So it is certainly our biggest feeder, our biggest partner school, and our biggest, where we get the most kids from. And, we get kids from 25 to 26 schools every year. That seems kind of crazy when our numbers are 170 to 200 kids, but Lexington Catholic's classes are represented by about 26 different middle schools or partner schools, et cetera. So, but Christ the King is our biggest group of kids each and every year. So we do rely and hope that we have some great leaders in the classroom from Christ the King, and we always do. They always come well prepared, and as a Christ the King mom, I always am excited to see the Christ the King kids that come through and hear about their experiences at Christ the King, and some of the same teachers that my kids have, they've had, and so it's fun to minister to those kids.
To our listeners, I just remind you that one of the mantras from my end would be that we're responsible for the kids in CCD. We're responsible for the kids in Christ the King School, but also part of our ministry is Lexington Catholic. We're all in this together. So,
that's right.
What was graduation like this year? Last year was probably crazy in terms of the pandemic, and this year is less crazy, but not quote normal yet. What was that like externally, and what could you sense in I guess I'd call it the collective interior?
I think so. Our graduation this year was held at Whitaker Ballpark. an effort to spread out and be open and be outdoors. And we had a beautiful morning. Luckily, we were concerned about the weather from the day that we booked the facility, but it was a beautiful day. We had 199 seniors in this graduating class. And I think there was a sense, maybe more than ever, of accomplishment of those kids and those families, even including the parents, of not just high school graduation, but making it through this last year of what was just certainly a different year for those seniors, and not what I'm sure that they had in their heads of what their senior year looked like. But we had a fantastic senior class. We had kids that really were flexible to, the loss of events that they had looked forward to for years, from things like Halloween dress-up day that we couldn't do. But we tried to end our year with as many of the things that we could. And so I think we did a pretty good job all in. The graduation was lovely. We had the baccalaureate before, and then we had a little break so that people could get up and get water. We were a little worried. We usually don't have a break like that, but we thought with the being outdoors and the heat, let's give people a little break. It was a hot day. But I think, all in all, I think the little collective sigh of relief at the end of it, that they had done it. And, I think this group of seniors and last year's group as well, the class of 2020, will hold a special place in my heart for enduring what they did their senior year. So,
yeah, you probably did a bit of hybrid kind of classes too, I reckon. Huh?
We did. We had a lot of kids. We had some kids that were hybrid at certain points of the year for different reasons, whether it was for medical reasons, or sometimes there was someone at home who was not well enough to deal with the exposure to COVID. So our kids stayed home for a various amount of reasons, and some of them for the whole year. Some of them we just didn't see. I escorted a kiddo, I think it was into Christi's class, the very last day of school, a little girl who had been home the whole year, and she really wanted to come back for her last days of class.
Wow.
And she was so nervous. She hadn't seen kids since March of 2020. And I said, come on, let's go up there. And I was so excited it was Miss Nash's class, because I knew it was going to be an easy entry. And the kids were they were ecstatic to see her. She was just a nervous wreck, but I think she had a great last 2 days on campus after being home for this whole time. So,
Tell me about tell us about scholarships for the graduating class. About how many you say would be academic, athletic.
I am not, Christy might know this a little bit better because she's a parent of a graduating senior, but do you know what our dollars were, Christy?
I think it was almost 15 million. I think it was 14 something million dollars in scholarships earned. I think that's what it was.
And that's just for the general population. That's athletic, or that is academic honors earned. That does not include any of the athletic stuff. So those are merit-based scholarship money. And so I'm sure on top of that number, you dealt with a lot more of the scholarships for athletics as well. But an impressive number year after year for what those kids get. And the school list that they're going to, to a lot stay close to home, but a lot of them venture out and find their ways to, places like Notre Dame and MIT and some just really fantastic programs. So, and we're blessed with having UK right in our backyard. That's really, truly has become a great place to send your kids to school and to get a great education too. So.
Well, when I set up the program a week or so ago, I started talking with you, Christy, and lo and behold, we were in the midst of telephone tag from Lexington to David, Kentucky. So you were down there with a mission trip. Can you speak a little bit about the mission trip and how many kids were involved, what they were doing, what they experienced?
Well, we've been taking kids to the Appalachian community of David, Kentucky for, I think it's over 20 years now. So it precedes me. I didn't start the trip, but I've been taking kids down there for several years now. We took 21 students and 4 faculty members, chaperones, and we worked on building handicap ramps and porches for people, kind of doing home repairs, windows and things. We also got involved with a couple of community gardens that the mission runs, and we worked at the David School, which is an alternative school. It's an amazing place where most of the people who work there are volunteers, including the teachers. And it's just it's a lovely little school up in the mountains. So some of the kids had first time experiences with power tools, running circular saws and drills and all kinds of things. That was very exciting. Some of them also had first time experience washing dishes and doing the cleaning around the house that we do.
Wow.
At a volunteer house. So, and they were helping cook all of our meals, or our community meals, and so they really did everything. They cooked and cleaned and built things and built community, and I just had a really good time. So it's also a great way for them to get a sense of what another part of our state is like. It's very different there. You wouldn't even know you were in Kentucky, and it's only 2 hours away. So beautiful, beautiful place. A lot of challenges, economic challenges there, especially with the withdrawal of the coal mining. So the community there is suffering, and we continue our relationship with them throughout the year. We take a big trip in December with a lot of Christmas donations that the school brings in and kind of set up their Christmas store for this for the year. So it's an ongoing relationship and one that we all benefit from.
With a mission trip like that, do you have like times of either prayer services or masses? Do you have a chance also to gather the 20 or so kids together and do like faith sharing, or what are you getting out of this?
Oh, yes. So we pray every morning together. We pray at every meal together. And then in the evenings, we alternate. Each group who's been to a job site will alternate doing our evening prayer. And it's a time of reflection and Thanksgiving and just, prayer, with each other. Always very moving. And it's amazing what some of the kids, some of the things that they learn and that they share. The director of the mission and one of the sisters at the monastery nearby, they come and they kind of discuss the region and everything. And we pray for the region, and we pray for the ministry of their mission. And then also on Wednesday, every time we go up to the monastery and we have mass at the Dwelling Place Monastery, and the bishop joins us. And so it's a very nice, beautiful. The windows are almost 360 windows of the mountains, and it's just a gorgeous, beautiful place to have mass and share with some of the people in the region.
Do you have other spiritual or service programs you'll be involved in with the kids this summer?
Well, of course, anytime a need arises, we sort of mobilize our service club. We don't plan service events throughout the summer, but inevitably we end up doing 2 or 3 service events. I just like last summer, for instance, the Catholic Action Center called and said that there had been a lot of people displaced because of the pandemic. Some evictions had happened, and there was a lot more homelessness in the community. So we gathered our students and got a bunch of donations and made portable home kits. We made, I think, about 30 of them for people in rolling carts with blankets and pillows and sleeping bags and food and water and hand sanitizer and all kinds of other things that one might need to set up kind of a camp style home. And we took those to the Catholic Action Center, and they were gone. They were all spoken for before they even arrived and gone within an hour. So we ended up doing more of them on a second occasion. So really, we will just respond to community needs that occur during the summer, and students are always more than willing to mobilize and help.
Thanks for your work with that and the inspiration to get the kids through this. Dave, how about summertime? There's very often sports camps what kind of sports camps are Lexington Catholic offering this year?
Everything you could think of. We started up this week with our camp seasons, and we've got football, soccer. We're actually doing 2 soccer sessions because the demand was so high. We have archery camp this week. We have in the coming weeks youth basketball for boys and girls. We have baseball and softball. We have ultimate frisbee camp for beginners and experienced next week. We have cheer and dance. We have girls lacrosse camp, girls basketball. If pretty close to, if we've got a sport for it, we've got a youth camp for it this summer. I want to say it was 14 or 15 total camps we were going to be doing.
Wow. And, again, just from my own standpoint, as a borderline geezer, I remember in high school we had football, basketball, baseball. That was it. It's all boys schools and for Kevin. How many sports are offered at Lexington Catholic?
We have 23 sports, everything from the ones that you mentioned that you would typically expect to, excuse me, some of the ones I mentioned. We have archery. We offer ultimate frisbee. We have a trap shooting team. And so it's such a wide range. We have bowling, was very successful this past year. And so we've got a very wide range of sports. We like, I wanted to say at one point it was about 80% of our students involved in athletics in at least one sport. And so, of course, the advantage of having such a wide range is you are able to get a large portion of the student body involved in at least one. And that's the goal. What they can get out of these athletics is to be able to reach that percentage of the students is because we do offer such a wide range.
Yeah, and there's that sense of community, that sense of achievement, really the joy that comes with it too.
Absolutely.
Happy student is somebody who's going to be successful.
Yes, sir.
How do you weave faith development into the sports programs? How do you envision that?
So we're actually partnering here in about a month with a program out of Notre Dame called the Play Like a Champion Today program. It was specifically designed several years ago as a coaching as a ministry program. Started out with youth sports and partnerships with different CYO organizations, and it's since spread to high schools. And it is a program specifically designed to help our athletics department start speaking the same language when it comes to coaching as ministry, sharing with each other how we can work prayer and service into our athletics, the type of lessons that we use for character education in sports can kind of commonize the language and the lessons that we can teach in that. And so while there's been a lot of different ways that Catholic over the years has incorporated faith and Catholic identity into their athletics, this will be one that we'll be doing new this year that will hopefully bring all of those ideas together and then build and grow with what we've already done. So we're really excited about the partnership with Notre Dame that'll be coming up.
Yeah, that sounds great. And my guess is that the student community, or the Lexington Catholic community, students, faculty, and parents, they're struck by the witness and the way people live their lives as athletes. And I think all three of you could comment on that, the impact of somebody who's an athlete who's also living their faith. All three comment on that?
It's what, I think what a lot of coaches spread as the message to their kids is being in athletics sets you apart as a leader, almost without choice. You are where there's extra privilege and there's extra acknowledgement, there's also extra responsibility that comes with that. And so, yes, I think, not just our coaches, but our athletes knowing that, being a focal point is it's a part of it. And so what we do with that leadership, what we do with that role is either something we can kind of sit back and hope goes well, or we can actively use athletics as a tool to teach character, to teach ministry, to create leaders and better leaders amongst our athletes, so that when the community looks to them in good times or bad, they understand the role that they have.
I always tell the students, my tennis players, I say, one of the things when you start playing at Lexington Catholic, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your family and you're representing Lexington Catholic. And then I even throw me in there. It's like, you're representing me when you're on that court. And even in bad times on a court, on good times, when, you have to win well, you got to lose well. And you really have to remember that you have Lexington Catholic across your jersey, and that you're playing for something bigger than just your own personal stuff, which is, I coach tennis, which is a team sport in high school, but it's a very individualized sport. And so that's a real part of what I do, is to try to, make those kids realize that they're part of a team. And it's not just the tennis team, it's the Lexington Catholic community.
Christi, your kids, I think, have been ball players and athletes, and I know it's a common thing, say, for sophomores, freshmen, to look up to the upperclassmen and those above them, and in terms of sports. What have you seen in terms of that connection? In response to that same question, and maybe from the vantage point of seeing the kids. Christi, you might be on mute yet.
My kids have really benefited from their sports experience. I think it teaches so many life lessons. And, a few of my kids, I have 6 kids, and I can't even tell you how many sports they've played at Catholic. It's so many, but a few of them have been able to be team captains, and taking on that role, they really do perceive themselves to be actively mentoring the younger kids. And when they weren't team captains, they would benefit from the active mentoring of the team captains and the older kids. So, and I think it'll only be stronger with the Play Like a Champion program in place. That'll kind of interject that, spiritual element a bit more. But our teams have always really been good about praying together, and they pray after every game. I can just speak. We haven't been doing it because of COVID, but in a normal year, after every single softball game, they gather together in a big circle, hold hands. Before every game, they do it too, but they do it just as their own team. They pray together, and most teams have a team prayer. And at the end of the games, though, typically they invite the opposing team to come and pray with them, and they'll circle around, home or the pitcher's mound, and in a big circle, and pray together. So it's just, I think the teams really, try to lift one another up, spiritually, mentally, athletically, and it's just been athletics have been a really good experience for my kids, I think, and everyone involved. I think they grow in so many ways.
Dave, what are the academic and behavioral standards for our student athletes? And you might want to chime in on this one too.
So, obviously all of our athletes, we emphasize the student code of conduct. Everything's upheld with that. And academically, there are eligibility checks, constantly throughout their in-season time to help make sure that we're not starting to slip, and kind of help correct as we see. It really, the question kind of ties in with what you asked about the leadership aspect of it. It's not that you would say, well, our athletes are held to a higher academic standard or a higher behavioral standard, but they are more visible when they don't meet those standards. It's as Ann said, it's not just a matter of not upholding their end for themselves when they are now not just representing a team, but a team is depending on them on and off the field. And so, I think the point of emphasis for our coaches amongst our kids becomes that idea, not that here's the standard everybody else has to meet, and then here is what athletes have to meet. It's that we all have the same standard, but when you don't meet it, there are others that are going to be let down because of that. There are others that are going to see it. It's not just, student X who failed to show up for a tutoring session. That was a tennis player that was somebody representing Ann. That was an LC athlete who visibly didn't uphold the behavioral standards that we expect. And so, I don't know that they are different or more stringent, but they're certainly more visible. And it's important for our kids to understand that. That's part of leadership. That's part of, being out there and visible and getting all the benefits that come with that is also the added responsibility.
So you want to help them, but, to be, members of the team, but at the same time, if somebody's ineligible, they're ineligible. And you just got to call a spade on that.
Of course.
Help them deal with reality. And what have you seen in that area?
I have mostly seen that our kiddos, we look at just speaking of academic stuff, we run academics reports on Monday mornings, and the coaches and the athletic director and the administration get a list of kids who cannot participate in their extracurriculars. And that includes the choir program and the theater and those types of things as well. And, I think what we see, what I most often see, not all times, is that those kids find that news out from their coach. And then their next question is, what do I need to do to fix this? And I do think that we have a good group of faculty and coaches and all that kind of stuff who jump in and say, let's get this fixed before we run the reports next Monday. And, I think that's the lesson of sitting out for a week is bigger than just missing those couple of games. It's that I have let down some other people. I've let down my teammates, and I need to fix it. And so most of the time we see a kid that will pop back off, and we usually don't see a lot of kids that stay on an ineligibility list for too long. They usually find their way off of it as quickly as they can and take care of the important stuff, which is, a student comes first for a reason. And I think our kids know that. What
do you all do at Lexington Catholic to help the faculty to grow in their faith? I imagine there's meetings, and I imagine there's some faculty members who are glad to be teachers, glad they have this great job teaching, but also they have to hear the message. It seems that, well, you're part of something big that's part of the Catholic Church's ministry. Can you all speak to that a bit of how faith development takes place within the faculty?
Well, of course, we have, monthly masses with the entire school, and everyone, faculty included, attend. But we also provide a faculty retreat at the beginning of each year, and then have during our professional development once a month. Usually have prayer opportunity, like a little prayer service. Sometimes we have guest speakers come, and we've had nuns and priests and authors come speak about different aspects of spirituality and Catholic teaching. And then we try to do a kind of a retreat in the second semester that's more social and sort of, has a retreat aspect, but for instance, like an art retreat or something that has a spiritual element. Our faculty is, without exception, very supportive of the Catholic mission of our school, and everyone is on board with trying to incorporate Catholic social teaching and spirituality into our classroom. We begin every single class period with prayer, and even those faculty members who are not Catholic do the same. So I've been very pleased and happy, as a parent and as a teacher, to see just the support, the universal support of the mission of the school.
Do some of the faculty members like sharing a Bible study group or a prayer group that say would be 6 faculty members or something like that?
We do that during Lenten Advent. It's an offering that we have. It's I think a lot more people want to participate than are able to participate, because during the school day, a lot of teachers are tutoring students or, having kind of office hours open, and even during their lunch hours, they're working with students through lunch. So, and before school. So, which is also just a wonderful aspect of our school. I mean, students are, can get help any time of the day, and teachers are so willing to do that. So yeah, we do have those offerings usually during Lent and Advent, and time for, other sorts of,
Right.
we have the sacraments as well. Just confession is offered twice a year, and Stations of the Cross, various things like that.
What percentage of the student body is not Catholic? What percentage of the faculty is not Catholic?
I think we're at 25%, maybe 27% of our students are not Catholic. Faculty maybe a little bit higher than that. Anne, do you know? Yeah. But I really don't know the exact percentage of our faculty.
Yeah.
Well, that's a rough number, though.
I think we're a little closer to like 35%, 30 to 35%. And we have about 108, 110 faculty members. So, but I tell you, one of the things, and I say this about the students and the diversity of the religious backgrounds of our students, they really, it makes the classroom, the diversity of it, I think really kind of is a great thing in our classrooms. To have some people from different faith backgrounds. And I think that for the faculty as well, I think it actually lends to some quality discussions and some open mind. These kids and our faculty are so open-minded to other people's, backgrounds. And so I think it's a learning experience to sit in a classroom with someone who hasn't been raised Catholic from day one. So I think it really kind of, just like all diversity, I think it just really enhances the experience for the faculty and the students.
Yeah.
Let me shift to go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've taught students from all kinds of faith backgrounds, and I would agree with Anne. It really does just add to the discussion and enhances our understanding of the differences and the similarities in various faith traditions.
Yeah, it leads to kind of a mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift to the external. What's going on with the construction and the expansion project at the school? How's that materializing? Maybe even somebody has some insights on.
I can speak a little on that.
Okay.
I can speak a little on it. I was given a little update last week. We have, if you haven't been by our campus recently, we have it's actually, for a parking lot, it is quite beautiful, truthfully. We have the front left side of school, we have put in additional parking. And you'll see, when you see it, there's a beautiful brick wall around it and some nice grass area, which I always appreciate, some grass space on the campus. And that parking area of, like I said, about 55 to 60 spaces is going to allow for that next step, the stage 2, to begin hopefully this summer, which will be the groundbreaking for the Highmark Center, a new Highmark Center, and the Science Wing, which will go behind what we call Alumni Gym, the older gym that's been here since the school was built. And so I think those next steps, I think they're just waiting on some okays from the construction and from our president's office and all that kind of stuff. I know they're still doing some fundraising and working on still raising the dollars, but I think that they're ready for that stage 2 to happen here in the next couple of weeks. So,
do I need to know what the target number was in terms of the capital campaign?
I would really be guessing. I think that to get to the stage 2, I believe it was 8 or 9 million. I'm not positive. I think about what it was. And I know that they're close. So, wow. Yeah. So I know that they still have a little ways to go, but I think that the building of that new Highmark Center, our Highmark Center, it services a lot of students. It's not just for kids who have learning differences and those types of things. It really is it's a study area and a place for all kids to receive free tutoring and free help before school, after school, and throughout the day. And I think that that will be that's the kind of the anchor of the school. It'll be on the first floor, and then the science labs will be above that. And as someone who's taught science for many years, I'm really excited about getting some updated lab spaces. We've made, our faculty has outdone themselves with what they've done in our current lab setups, but it'll really take that to the next level. So
I always think of the two G's. You know, people are generous because of gratitude. So
That's right.
you know, they've seen what you can do, what you've been doing, and you know what the school can be with you know, with some enhanced space, and you know, so you know, we're blessed to be in a community where there's some resources to draw from, and people have been generous. So that's a tribute to you all. That you know, a lot of times the project sells itself. You know, and the product that has been, you know, in the process for years is it's embedded in people's hearts, and they make some sacrifices to help. How does the school do the, you know, sort of the other side? How does the school offer financial aid to families who need it?
So our families, our incoming families and our returning families always have the opportunity to apply for financial aid. I think as they do in all of our partner schools. You know, we encourage everybody to apply because you just don't know, you know, we don't know the needs of people and that. So I think it's always our goal. Our financial aid numbers have increased significantly of what we can offer, and also though what is needed over the years, you know. And I think that the biggest goal of our board and of our president and principal is to keep that tuition as low as possible, and to make it, you know, make this an opportunity for anyone who wants a Catholic education. You know, we're only being the only Catholic high school in this area, then, you know, I think that that's kind of what our mission is to be available. And so the people apply, and we have people in our admissions office will help walk people through those steps if they've never done it before. Sometimes it's a little complicated of a process, but they will help people walk through if they need to. And I think that one of the things that we've done at Lexington Catholic that was done several years ago through Steve Angelucci was a Catholic promise, which meant if you were granted a certain level of financial aid, then you were promised, if your situation stayed that same, that you would get that at least for those 4 years, so that you didn't have to worry each year if you were going to get the dollars the sophomore year or the junior year and the senior year. So I think that that's something important for families to know, that they're not going to get here for 1 year and then the next year not be able to get that aid if they needed it.
And also for our audience is to know that I think all of us parishes throughout Central Kentucky very supportive of the mission of Lexington Catholic, and you know, for our families who are living, you know, in harmony with their faith, and you know, active members of the parish, we're always ready to offer a subsidy, and usually it's $500 towards reducing tuition, and you know, we're glad to do that. And you know, it's one more way of saying that Lexington Catholic is our Catholic high school. Folks, we're getting pretty close to the time frame that's our closure. It's been a powerful conversation. Probably a good way to end this would be, you know, not to, you know, this is just a positive thing in the midst of what I call a positive environment. So, in other words, Fayette County has all kinds of excellent high schools, you know, and you attested to that even with the spiritual aspect, the ministerial aspect, with the caring for the community that's grieving right now. Fayette County's got excellent high schools. Why would you say, or what would you say is Lexington Catholic's strength in the midst of this market? I'd like to hear from each of the three of you as we wrap it up.
I'll speak first, and I will tell you, as somebody who I went to Christ the King, K through 8th grade, and then came here to Lexington Catholic, and I even went for a semester to a Catholic college before I got a little homesick and came back to Transylvania. But the power of being at a faith-based school, I think is so ingrained in me. And it is without exception, it's not an option for my kids to go to a public school. And only in the sense that I just want, I can handle a lot of parenting at home at night, and I can put the faith-based lessons in, but for them to be able to get it all day long from another set of people, I think means the world to me. And my kids, when they come home from school every day and tell me about something they've learned, I know that without hesitation, it was the right thing to do, is to make the sacrifice to send my kids to have that as part of their everyday. And for me, it's the Catholic part, as much as it is anything. And we're a fantastic school, and we have a lot to offer. But for me, like I said, it's the faith part for me.
Thank you. Thanks. Dave.
I think the quality of experience is the challenge for all of our coaches. I'm sure we would say for our teachers as well. We want to be competitive academically, we want to be competitive athletically as well, but the quality of experience, the first class experience that we want to be able to provide for every athlete that we field, for every student that comes through the door, is what should and will and does set us apart. Is, the overall experience, whether it's spiritually, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, it's going to be a top-notch experience. After your 4 years, that's what you're going to look back and remember. Was, how did the facilities line up with the teacher this and the coach that? When we will look back 10 years later, we want to think about the experiences that they had and realized that was top-notch. It was a first class or not at all type of environment with my experience there as a student, as an athlete.
Mind, body, spirit.
Yes, sir.
Christi.
Well, I would only be echoing what's already been said. Really, as a parent, I sent my kids to Catholic school because I felt that they would be taken care of by people, during the school day, who cared about their character and their spiritual development as much as about their educational development, their academics. But what I found at Lexington Catholic is the academics are superior. My kids have been so well prepared for college, done very well in college, as a result of the preparation that they received. But also, their peers are also people who care about their character. And I think just they've met superior, just fabulous friends. They've had a great experience really all the way around. They're friends that they've made, I think, will be friends for life, and they all care about each other and care about their growth and their character. And the teachers that have mentored them along the way have been great. So it's just been a great experience for my family.
Thank you. So I just want to say thanks to the three of you for being wonderful guests on our program today, and even more so, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for what you've been doing as part of the faculty and really the team that ministers in this pretty intense time right now. I'm so grateful for all you do and all you are. It's been a great privilege. Thank you. Deacon Tim, can you guide us into what we'll be doing next week? If you want to get off mute, Tim.
Thank you. Next week, we've got Father Steve Roberts lined up, and most people know he's the pastor over at the UK Newman Center, Holy Spirit Parish. So just gonna kind of have a good chat about what's going on over there, how they minister to the UK students and the Lexington community as a whole. So a lot of good things happening over there. So we'll hear all about those.
Next week will be a little bit different than usual because of some traveling issues. So we'll be on Tuesday of next week. But hopefully you can join us. And until then, have a great day, a great weekend. God bless you all. And this upcoming weekend is the Feast of Corpus Christi. So let's open ourselves to the power of our Lord and the Blessed Sacrament, and also to our own truth that we are the body of Christ. So God bless you all. Good to be with you today. And